It's perfectly reasonable to want truth and order, but literature is unlikely to help with that. Fiction is filled with paradoxes, plot holes, and unreliable narrators.
It is midnight. The rain is beating on the windows.
That's from Samuel Beckett's novel Malloy. Later, the narrator describes another version of reality.
I do not know. I shall learn. Then I went back into the house and wrote, It is midnight. The rain is beating on the windows. It was not midnight. It was not raining.
Another example, The Sepulchre Girl Diaries by George Saunders. The narrator, who was keeping a diary, writes,
Do not really like rich people, as they make us poor people feel dopey and inadequate. Not that we are poor. I would say we are middle. We are very, very lucky. I know that. But still, it is not right that rich people make us middle people feel dopey and inadequate.
Then the next day, he writes a clarification.
I am not tired of work. It is a privilege to work. I do not hate the rich. I aspire to be rich myself. And when we finally do get our own bridge, trout, treehouse, SGs, etc., at least we will know we really earned them. Unlike, say, the Torinis, who I feel must have family money.
What's true, what's false, everything. As novelist and Vietnam vet Tim O'Brien writes in How to Tell a True War Story,
absolute occurrence is irrelevant. A thing may happen and be a total lie. Another thing may not happen and be truer than the truth.
Fiction is important and all, but what about the Bible, the most widely circulated book in history? Biblical texts are filled with contradictions.
I think that there are lots of truths that can be found in biblical books. I don't think that the truths are going to be consistent.
Jennifer Knust is a professor of religious studies at Duke University.
But rather an opportunity to reflect on how messy it is to be alive and to try to figure out how to be human.
In 2011, Knust published Unprotected Texts, the Bible's surprising contradictions about sex and desire, at a time when sexuality was also a biblical battleground. In this interview from that period, Piers Morgan talked to American televangelist Joel Osteen.
What's your view now?
You know, Piers, it really never changes because mine's based out of the scripture. That's what I believe that the scripture says, that homosexuality is a sin. So, I believed it before and I still believe it now.
The Ethics and Religious Library Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention had filed a brief before a district court in favor of Proposition 8, the California ballot initiative that said marriage must be between one man and one woman. The brief argues Southern Baptists have no choice but to oppose same-sex marriage. Knust found that all very frustrating because there is no biblical sexual standard.
I just thought things that were being said around how the Bible is some kind of clear rule book about sexual morals was just so wrong and so bad for the Bible and so bad for us as human beings who are trying to come up with a way to be sexually moral and kind and compassionate beings to one another sexually and in every other way.
In the New Testament, there are letters ascribed to the Apostle Paul, who says he wishes everyone could be celibate like him.
Verse 1, 1 Corinthians 7. Now, concerning the matters about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but because of the temptation...
He thinks that Jesus is returning soon for the second coming to bring heaven and earth together into a new creation. And why would you waste your time getting married when you could be celibate and concentrate on getting ready for that event?
But then come together again so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control.
Then there's another letter, possibly written by Paul, depending on what you believe, called 1 Timothy, where an opposite argument is made.
In fact, there's a passage in the letters to Timothy where younger widows are specifically told that they should get married again. And also young women are told that they are saved through childbearing, which is a pretty different argument than is in 1 Corinthians.
Knust says contradictions are an invitation to pay attention. Her mom was an amateur Bible scholar. Growing up, they would read a big picture Bible together on a big gold couch, and her mom encouraged her to ask questions. She's still part of Christian communities that are open to multiple interpretations.
And consider love and kindness and generosity and compassion to be values that are more important than clobbering someone over the head with a passage that has been multiply interpreted and is contradictory with other passages.
Not demanding or pushing a single absolute correct answer to big questions is a powerful thing.
My love, she speaks like silence, without ideals of violence. have to say she's faithful, yet she's true like ice, like fire.
For Philosophy Talk, I'm Holly J. McDede.